6 ancient stories begin now. First, discover why ancient Japanese samurai carried a fan into battle. A samurai entered the shogun's palace disarmed, yet something still hidden remained in his sash. This was Edo period Japan, roughly 1600 to 1868 CE, when Tokugawa shoguns ruled the land. These shoguns, Japan's military rulers, enforced strict control over every samurai entering their castles. Castle rules banned edged weapons like katana swords from the shogun's inner grounds completely. But samurai were warriors, and arriving somewhere unarmed felt both humiliating and truly dangerous. Everyone carried a folding fan anyway, since fans were etiquette tools that signaled a person's rank. Craftsmen began building fans with heavy iron ribs instead of lightweight bamboo or paper. Some tessen were solid iron bars shaped like a closed fan with no fabric. Historians think the tessen exploited loopholes, since weapon bands named swords but not fans. Martial arts manuals from the Edo period recorded a whole fighting discipline called tessen jutsu. Techniques included blocking sword strikes, hitting wrists, and using the fan's edge to restrain. Iron fans in museum collections confirm these were real weapons, not just decorative objects. The tessen shows how samurai culture balanced visible ceremony with hidden, practical, self-defense. Museum tessen prove that in Edo, Japan, a folding fan could be a serious weapon. In a weapon-banned palace, would you choose an iron fan or bare hands? Follow Curious Lines for another evidence-led story from the ancient world. Next, discover who invented the world's oldest flushing toilet, and it wasn't the Victorians. The flush toilet was invented more than 3,500 years before Thomas Crapper was even born. Around 1700 BCE, the Minoan people built a sprawling palace at Knossos on the island of Crete. Knossos was enormous, with hundreds of rooms, multiple stories, and sophisticated architecture by any era's standard. Deep in the east wing, excavators found a small room with a stone seat platform. Beneath that platform, archaeologists found a terracotta or fired clay drainage channel angled precisely downward. Most assumed ancient people used open pits, so why was this channel sloped downward? That channel, at Knossos, connects to a palace-wide network of interlocking terracotta pipes. Water was deliberately routed by gravity from higher palace cisterns through that room. Historians believe water was deliberately used to flush waste away, though details remain uncertain. Archaeologists believe the platform held a wooden seat, though no wood actually survived to confirm this. The palace drainage system was deliberately designed with careful planning across the entire building. The Minoans engineered indoor sanitation more than 1,000 years before Rome built its sewers. Whether water flowed from rooftop cisterns alone or required a servant remains genuinely unknown today. It is surprising that the Minoans had flush toilets, and we forgot for millennia. Follow Curious Lines to discover another fascinating ancient story backed by real evidence. Next, discover the ancient shipwreck that proves Greece had astronomical computers in 70 BCE. A corroded bronze lump from a Greek shipwreck turned out to be an ancient astronomical computer. A cargo ship sank near the Greek island of Antikythera around 70 BCE. The ship carried marble statues, glassware, and luxury goods, most likely heading to Rome. Greek sponge divers discovered the wreck in 1900, recovering statues, coins, and one mysterious corroded lump. For decades, scholars assumed the corroded lump was just an unremarkable piece of ship hardware. A researcher noticed faint gear teeth and Greek lettering, revealing it was no ordinary lump. CT scans in the 2000s revealed 37 interlocking bronze gears hidden inside the corroded mass. Its gear tooth counts precisely matched the metonic cycle of 235 lunar months. Other gears tracked the Saros cycle to predict eclipses years in advance. Researchers think it tracked 5 naked-eye planets, though some inscriptions remain incomplete. Scholars think it was built near Rhodes, a Greek island famous for astronomy and engineering. No similar geared device appeared in Western history for over 1,000 years. The mechanism proves ancient Greek engineers could turn complex astronomical math into working bronze machinery. The bigger mystery is not how it was built, but why that knowledge vanished afterward. Was this knowledge lost in one disaster, or slowly forgotten over centuries? Follow Curious Lines for another evidence-led ancient story coming very soon. Next, discover who invented the world's first written recipe, and why. The world's oldest written recipe might not have been meant for anyone to eat. We are in Babylon, roughly 1700 BCE, in the land between 2 rivers, called Mesopotamia. Scribes here pressed wedge-shaped signs into wet clay using a cut reed. That writing system is called cuneiform. These particular tablets, now held at Yale University, list ingredients like leeks, onions, garlic, and rich broth. At first glance, Historians assumed these were straightforward cookbooks for Babylonian households. But the quantities listed are enormous, far too much food for one family's dinner. Scholars also noticed the language on the tablets resembles ceremonial temple texts, not shopping lists. Many historians now believe these recipes describe food prepared as ritual offerings for Babylonian gods. In Babylonian belief, gods required daily feeding, and only perfectly prepared food would honor them. Because ritual purity mattered deeply, scholars believe every ingredient had to be correct. Cooking and worship were the same act. Writing recorded not just grain tallies and taxes, but also food offerings to gods. What looks like the world's first cookbook is actually evidence that food, faith, and writing were born together. The next time someone says cooking is just survival, show them a 4,000-year-old clay tablet that disagrees. Which surprises you more, that recipes existed 4,000 years ago, or that cooking was a religious act? Follow Curious Lines for another evidence-led ancient story. Next, discover why ancient Sparta banned gold and silver for 200 years. Sparta had real money, it was just too heavy to carry alone. We are in Laconia, southern Greece, roughly between 800 and 550 BCE. Sparta was becoming one of the most powerful city-states in Greece. Yet, Sparta used no gold or silver coins like every other Greek city. Instead, Spartans used iron rods called oboloi, long, heavy, and awkward. Buying anything significant meant hauling a cartload of iron through the streets. You might think this was simply because Sparta was poor or backward. But Sparta actually controlled fertile land and key Mediterranean trade routes. Ancient sources, including Plutarch, say a lawgiver deliberately designed this currency system. Iron money made personal wealth nearly impossible to hide or secretly hoard. You couldn't bribe a general with heavy iron rods without everyone noticing. Sparta's military culture demanded equal sacrifice, and awkward money enforced that equality. Plutarch claimed iron quenched in vinegar became brittle, though historians remain skeptical. Historians debate how literally to read these ancient accounts, so stay curious. The core idea endures. Sparta used money as social control, not just trade. So, why did Sparta eventually abandon its famously inconvenient currency? Which seems harder to corrupt, bulky iron money or convenient gold coins? Follow Curious Lines for another evidence-led story from the ancient world. Finally, discover who invented the postal system 2,500 years before the stamp. More than 2,500 years ago, imperial messages could travel across vast empires within a week. The Achaemenid Persian Empire was one of the largest states the ancient world had ever seen. Achaemenid kings, starting with Cyrus, had to govern millions of people spread across thousands of kilometers. They built a network of way stations at regular intervals along a royal road. A fresh rider and rested horse waited at each station to carry messages onward. Greek historian Herodotus described these riders as stopped by neither snow, rain, heat, nor night. Historians long relied on Herodotus's account, despite him not always witnessing the empire firsthand. Then, archaeologists digging at Persepolis found thousands of buried clay administrative tablets. These tablets recorded rations, grain, beer, and livestock, paid to relay riders. This was no informal setup, it was a state-funded, bureaucratically managed information network. The Royal Road spanned 2,700 kilometers, and relay riders crossed it within 2 weeks. Most ancient messengers traveled alone, but Persia used organized relay riders instead. Organized, large-scale communication isn't modern, every large empire has had to solve it. Tracking packages or sending emails follows logic Persian administrators developed 2,500 years ago. What surprises you more, the relay speed or that a government funded it? Follow Curious Lines for another story driven by real ancient evidence.